Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of Let's Play Final Fantasy 14 uh, Shadowbringers. So, yeah, in the last episode we arrived here to try and find Alpha Node, and we were advised to speak to this guy, Ivor. Not sure how to actually pronounce his name there, but yeah, I guess Ivor is pretty much the correct uh, pronunciation. Alright, let's talk to him. What you after? Fish? Crab? Think I've got an eel in a barrel somewhere. If your taste for him. Oh, I do love a bit of fine. Uh, Chuck some in the pan, and it's like a bloody festival of flavor. Now, what is it I can do for you? Can't say as there's been a major upset. Can't say as there's been any major upsets to report these past few weeks. Alphanode, huh? I know the one. Our young champion of the downtrodden. Yulmore's richer than all of Novrandit put together, but it's different. But it's a different story for them as live outside the city. Most spend every waking moment just trying to stay alive, which makes your friend dedicated to uh, helping others stand out, helping others to stand out all the more. I can hazard a guess as to where he is now. Get the message to him, but you'll need somewhere quiet to meet, away from prying eyes. Make for Steel Tide. That's the fishing village just up the path there. You're looking for a rundown excuse for a tavern the locals call the Leaky Keel. Wait there and I'll see that Alphanode joins you. They got some very interesting names around here. And holy crap, this entire place is so freaking bright. It's borderline ridiculous. Okay, talk to him. There we go. This your first time in a tavern? It's customary to buy a drink if you mean to loiter. What will you be having? Yeah, let's go for an ale. A fine choice. And what will you be paying with? Well now, those are exotic. Where did you come by coins like that? I'm sorry, dear. I don't doubt they have value, but I don't have a touchstone to test their purity. And I'm not about to go begging for one from the neighbors. So we'll just have to come to some other arrangement. Hi, here's an idea. Uh, there's a common to the north where we grow our vegetables. But lately the pests have been eating more of them than we have. What do you say to a bit of extermination work? I want you to squash any vermin you find. Then visit caretaker and give him a earful from me for sleeping on the job. He'll be in the old silo next to the fence, snoring like a snot. Do that for me, and you can lace about here as long as you like. Alright, let's go up and do some honest work for her. $720 yards to the north. That's up there, so that thing has to wait. Go, that's one of them, and you can go over there. That's magic protection. Alright. No response. Maybe you need to knock louder. Let's knock louder. No response. Perhaps the occupant is hard of hearing. Hear the faint squeaking from the room beyond. Time to burst in and save the day, brave adventurer. no one is home, and judging by the lack of furniture, they haven't been for some time. No scraps of vegetables on the floor suggest rats have taken up residence in their absence. All right. Well, I guess he got eaten by sin eaters, or he moved away. Yeah, there we go. Welcome back there. What did that good-for-nothing caretaker have to say for himself? Gone? Huh. Must have left to join the rest of the hopefuls. In Gate Town, outside Yulmore? You don't have a clue what I'm talking about, do you? And there I was thinking you were another dreamer. Well, never mind all that. Take a seat wherever you like, dear. You more than earned it. I'll even throw in another drink on the house. Right. Oof.
And how is business today, Mistress Theva?
Oh, frenetic. Look, I have a new customer.
Tis good to see you, my friend. The barley seeds you wanted. They should produce a better harvest than the last.
What, just like that? Oh, Alfino, you really are a dear. Well, I'd best be tidying up some of those empty shacks before the pests move in. Keep an eye on the place while I'm out, eh?
Wow, someone is trusted.
It seems an age since last we spoke. Not since the prisoner exchange in Doma. And Yotsu. It has been even longer for me, of course, if you count the days I've spent here. But the time has only added to the relief I feel seeing you safe and well.
Me? I was more worried about you.
Huh. Alize said much the same thing. I don't think I've ever had such a scolding.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I believe an exchange of news is in order. Come, tell me of your arrival and all that came before. I see. Both the Exarch and Alize told me what they knew of events, but I had stubbornly clung on to the hope that all-out war might yet be avoidable. And poor Tataru. She must be sick with worry. We must endeavor to return as soon as we may. It would be nice to bring her good tidings for a change. But before we bid this world farewell, we must first ensure that it is not rejoined to the source. We must prevent the 8th Umbral calamity. Urianger's vision of the future has, I fear, every chance of coming true. By his description, the catalyst for the calamity was a formless and deadly weapon employed by the Garlean Empire. Which can only mean one thing. Black Rose. Gaius was telling you the truth. When we were on the trail of the Ascians, we saw evidence that the gas was being manufactured once more. Gaius was adamant that the project had been scrapped. But so long as there are wars to be waged, there will always be those determined to win by any means. And thus simply destroying the existing stores of Black Rose would do little to alter fate's course. In that sense, our involuntary journey here to the First was something of a boon. Together with the Exarch, we've developed a theory as to how we believe the rejoining will be set in motion. I'm sure Urianger himself will cover the subject in more detail. But I can tell you the process requires that both worlds, the Source and the First, be facing an existential threat. One being Sin-Eaters, of course. They are a menace that I would dearly love to remove, and not just to avert a calamity. I may be a stranger to this world, but I will not stand idly by and let innocent people be slaughtered. That is what brought me to the gates of Yulmore. Ignoring its pretensions as a kind of capital city to what remains of the world, it is nonetheless a center of power and authority. If any solutions are to be found, I believe our search should begin there. What say you?
Sorry about that.
And so we take to the road once more.
All right. Assuming you have no objections, let us make our way directly to the city outskirts. If we time our arrival just right, you may be lucky enough to see why I have yet to set foot in Yulmore. Despite my best efforts to do so. Come, from here we must head west and then cross a small bridge. Alright, so... Ugh. Colusa seems peaceful, does it not? Almost familiar. I had a similar impression of the Crystarium. Even in this distant world, people are much the same. To think that whenever a calamity struck the source, a reflection such as this one, with all its cultures and history, was being erased from existence. No! Get away from me! Over there. Quickly, someone is in trouble. I forgot about this one. Oh, thank the fates! You look out! There we go. My poor heart. Thank you. Thank you, young sir. Ah, there you are. In my haste, I lost my bearings. But I see you have the situation well in hand. Fine work. Are you all right, madam? Just a few bruises from where I fell. Nothing compared to what was in store for me before this brave soul came to my rescue. I honestly thought I was done for. My feet are not as swift as they once were. And I know there was no one left to hear me scream. Not that I let that stop me. I should probably leave my old house behind and queue up outside Yulmore with the rest of them. Doubt those fancy lords and ladies would welcome an old crone like me. Still, even a shack near the gate has to be safer than staying here. One would hope. Either way, I suggest you avoid wandering alone, lest you make the Sin Eater's task easier. Thank you again. You saved my life. Now, I'm sure a strapping lad like you has little to fear, but I wouldn't linger long in this place. There's not to be had here, but cobwebs and memories. Just as the lady says, many in these parts have abandoned their homes to live in Yulmore shadow. Should the Sin Eaters descend upon this region, there are precious few with the strength to fight them off. Speaking of which, what have you been told of these monsters? Ah, yes, Alizé would be well qualified to speak on the subject. Compared with Arang, Colusia is almost a haven. But as you saw, we cannot let our guard down. Had you arrived but a few moments later, the Sin Eater would have claimed another victim. Still, we have won a small victory this time. This time at least. Now, shall we press on? We need to return to where the road forks and follow the path that leads west. All right. Wow, that's a big thing.
That gate up ahead is known as the Open Arms, and Yulmore itself lies beyond. This, meanwhile, is the aptly named Gate Town, the dwelling place of the many desperate souls who hope to be chosen to live in the city proper.
Ah, I thought I recognized you. Brought a new friend, eh? I'll bet you got a trick or two up your sleeve. Maybe even 3. Care to show me?
He's not here to compete. Leave him be.
What? I was only making conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please!
All right.
Greetings to our hopeful petitioners, one and all. Yulmore extends its warmest regards. Let it be known that a lady of distinction wishes to dine on fish divine. We seek a master culinarian who can guarantee seafood perfection. Dazzle the matron with your delicious dishes, and life in the city will be yours to enjoy, even on days when fish is not on the menu. Who among you will answer the call? Name yourself or another. We may not at all.
Fish, is it? Was there anyone?
What about that girl?
Do you recall how I said Yulmore was a center of power and authority? Well, that is not the only reason for its fame. It is also known as the City of Final Pleasures. The noble and the wealthy who survived the flood gathered here to live out the rest of their days in decadent abandon. A poor man could sooner pass through the Iron Needle than Yulmore's gates. The only way the common folk can enter this perverted paradise is if they fulfill the whim of one of the privileged, and so they are picked over like market produce.
What a catch! throwing this one back? Having seen your all too obvious charms, we welcome you with open arms. Come, join us in the city of splendor and live out your life in an ecstasy of endeavor. Oh, just look at those expectant faces. What could you possibly be waiting for? Well, what have we here? An extra share of meal to celebrate our newest resident! For you!
Ah, at last!
Enjoy!
Thank goodness.
Over here!
Meal is a foodstuff which Yulmore routinely doles out to the people of Gatetown, and apparently a staple for its citizens as well. Many here rely on it to survive in these times of scarcity, yet the whole arrangement just seems... well, let's just say it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Alright, there we go. So, yeah, that's Yulmore. And, well, I have to agree with Alphanode. It kind of gives me a bad taste in my mouth, too. Now, I know what this town is all about, but even the first time I played here, when I came here, it still gave me like, yeah, I don't like this place. Now we understand why my attempts to enter the city have thus far come to naught. The dubious privilege of residency must be won by a contest with even ever-changing rules. They say this policy has been in place for the past 2 decades, even since Yulmore, current ruler, came into power. Yet, from what I have seen, it does more harm than good. Not only does it distract people from our shared struggles against sin eaters, it robs them of their self-sufficiency. I have tried to propose ways they could improve their lot, but my words invariably fall on deaf ears. The attitude is so entrenched now. I worry that, well, mayhap you should take a turn around Gatetown and judge the situation for yourself. All right. Let's start going this way. A large pot bubbles over the flame. Pale chunks meal, you realize, float in the otherwise plain broth. Just look at it. You can imagine a more beautiful city. Every day I dream of the life that waits for me inside those walls. Oh, will they ever pick me? Quite frankly, no, it doesn't look good in any shape or form. It does kind of remind me of a smaller version of Limsa Lominsa, but too much color. That's my yeah, that's basically how I feel about it. It's way too much color. Still here, are you? Can't blame you for wanting a slice of Yulmor's pie. If you ask me, you should ditch that sour-faced brat and make a home for yourself here. Gatetown's not much to look at, aye, but at least it's safe. And the meal is the best thing I've ever tasted. Alright. You've seen what Gatetown has to offer? These people can no longer fend for themselves. They've become dependent on handouts of meal, and believe Yulmor is the answer to all their woes. Yet, no matter how I frame my encouragement, they seem unwilling, nay, unable to conceive of any other way of life. You disapprove of Yulmor? It is difficult to make a final judgment without first seeing the city inner workings. Mayhap it is that uncertainty which always makes me feel so ill at ease here. Not that it matters. However, unjust this system seemed to me. If these people claim to be content with their lot, it is hardly my place to criticize their choices. But take that elderly lady you rescued. Does it not seem that those who have chosen to forgo Yulmor, largesses, are doomed to suffer for their independence? In the end, they are all but forced to seek refuge in Gatetown, and so hamlets and fields across the island are left empty and untended. uh, hastening the region's descent to ruin. Nay, I am not convinced that Yulmore generosity truly served the best interests of Colusia's people. I'm not so naive as to think there is some miraculous solution to all of this. Yet I cannot help but frown at the sight of hard-working villagers struggling to survive, even as the chosen few rejoice at being plucked from poverty by the hand of the capricious noble. There has to be a better way. I will not know for sure, however, until I have taken those long delayed steps through Yulmore's gates. It's fortunate that you are arrived when you did, Geoffrey. I have been working on a scheme to insinuate myself into the city, and if all goes to plan, it should soon come to fruition. There is a beast tribe who makes its home in the seas surrounding the island, the Ondo, they are called. For you and I know them as Sahagin. For the most part, they keep to themselves in their ocean grottos and rarely have dealings with land dwellers. But as Tatari took such great pains to impress upon me during our stay in Kagane, business favors the bold, and so I reached out to them. I duly discovered that Ondo are inordinately fond of land-grown produce, fresh fruits in particular. And when I offered to procure such goods for them, they promised to pay me in pearls. An attractive business venture for any prospective inventor. Would you not agree? Surely even the most jaded Yulmoran lord would have time for a merchant who can make pearls from plums and pumpkins. Yes, I've come a long way since my days of buying samurai swords without first negotiating a price. My appointment with the Ondo is due to take place in a few hours. I just need to collect produce and meet with them on the shore. Might you help me make the exchange? Excellent. I should be glad of your company. First things first then. We must pay a visit to Mosha Mua, my supplier in Wright. Come, it is just to the northwest of here. Alright, well, I'm going to call this an episode here. We have been going for 45 minutes now, so I feel like this is a good place to stop the recording. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to hit the like button. And if you're new here, first of all, welcome, and if you enjoy my content, then why don't you hit the subscribe button together with the notification bell. I will be back again tomorrow, and until then, stay safe out there.